All right, lesson going with Unit 15 in Envision Math, two-dimensional shapes. So we are talking about attributes, three syllables. Attributes means things that the shapes have, that can classify the shapes. So people can have attributes. So I have attributes. So I might say brown hair, brown eyes. I'm medium height. I'm medium weight. Something like that. Those are attributes that people can have and also shapes can have. And attributes and shapes are very important because that's what helps you classify them. And classifying means you can put them into groups, in categories. And we've been doing that since preschool, kindergarten, so we can do this just like that. So some of the key words and shapes we're going to be talking about are polygons. So polygons, we already talked about this. Remember what polygons are? They're closed shapes with line segments, okay? So anything curved like a circle is not a polygon. We have to have straight lines and it has to be closed. So me making this right now, is this a closed shape? No, I have to have the rest of it. This Post-it note is a closed shape. It has line segments that are closed. So that's an example of a polygon. And I would put some money on it. It's probably a square. And I'd have to measure it to see if all lengths were equal to see if it was a square, but for sure I know it's a rectangle even without measuring it because it has 4 sides, closed shape with line segments, okay? So, moving right along. So this is a word that we've used before and we're going to be using it a lot in this unit. Who can read that? Intimidating because it's so big? That's okay, we can just chunk it, bite-sized pieces. Let's look at the beginning sound. Q-U, d, quad. Well, actually, I'm going to chunk it here. Qua, and then dri, D-R-I, dri, and then lat, E-R, ul. Chunk it. Quadrilateral. Quadrilateral. And that big guy, that big word just means a 4-sided shape. That's all it means. It's a fancy, cool math word for 4-sided shape. And what's going to help you remember that is this beginning part, quad, means 4. Okay? So 4-sided shape is a quadrilateral. 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 5 syllables. Mouthful, but we can do it. We can chunk it. So all these guys, all these polygons are an example of quadrilaterals. Why, you say? Because they have 4-sided shapes. They have 4 sides. So like this guy looks like a square. He has 1, 2, 3, and 4. This one over here is a trapezoid, 4 sides, 1, 2, 3, 4. This guy over here might be either a square or rhombus, 1, 2, 3, 4. This guy could be a parallelogram perhaps, 1, 2, 3, 4. And over here, rectangle, 1, 2, 3, 4. What? They all have 4 sides? Well, how come, Miss James, there's not a triangle in there? That's a polygon. It is a polygon, but does it have 4 sides? Nope, triangles have 3 sides. They're in another category. These are examples of quadrilaterals, 4 sides, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? That's one way of classifying 2-dimensional shapes. Okay? Another word you are going to run into in this unit is a vertex. When we are working with those polygons, they're closed shapes and they're made from line segments. When they connect, they make a vertex. V for vertex. Look, that 2 straight lines come together, and right there, vertex, which is also an angle. You've heard that before, right? We have angles everywhere. My computer has an angle. This stand has an angle. This piece of paper has an angle. Straight line connects here. Guess what that's called? A vertex. It's also an angle. So it creates an angle there, okay? When you have more than one vertex, we make it plural and we say the word vertices. Vertices, we change that X to a C, add ES, vertices, vertices. 3 syllables, we can handle it. Math is fun. Math has a lot of its own words and language, but we love learning it because we're smart and we can learn languages. So that's how that works. And another word or way to express that is angles. We're going to look at these as angles and vertices. So we know that how many ever sides a shape has, it's going to have that many vertices. Okay? So if we've got this guy, he's a quadrilateral, so I know he's got 4 sides, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So then I also immediately know instamatically that he also has 4 vertices. 4 sides, 4 vertices. Do you see that in orange? 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that's nice and easy to remember. Another type of shape that we can classify our polygons into are called parallelograms. Parallelograms. And parallelograms mean that the lines are parallel. Okay, I love that word because look right in the middle, there's 2 parallel lines, L's. They're parallel to each other. That means they never intersect. Okay? Intersect means they cross each other. Okay? So this set of parallel lines that I've highlighted in orange, they'll never intersect. Kind of like train tracks. Keep going forever and forever. And guess what? All the way down there at the end of the train track, it never intersected. Because what would happen if train tracks intersected? A crash, right? So we don't want them to crash. And then on this side, these sides are also parallel. So if we stretch them up to the moon, parallel lines never intersect. That's what's so cool about them. They run parallel to each other. Like if you're running with somebody and you don't want to cross each other's lane and bump heads, we're running parallel to each other. We're never going to intersect because we don't want to crash. That's what a parallelogram. Do you happen to realize what other kind of shape this is? Yep, it's quadrilateral because 1, 2, 3, and 4 makes 4 sides, quadrilateral. So if it has 4 sides, how many vertices does it have? Yeah, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 vertices. So many different ways we can classify these cool shapes. Moving right along, another type of shape you're going to encounter is called a rhombus. Rhombus. That's so fun. Rhombuses are awesome. I love all these shapes, to be honest. So looking at this, what characterizes a rhombus is that all sides are equal. See these little hashtag marks I've got here? They're all the same. Little 2 dashes and orange because all lengths and sides are equal. If I were to measure this, and when I was creating this, I measured it. I think they were maybe 3 inches each, and I made sure because I knew that they all had to be equal. So I used my handy dandy ruler when I was creating these shapes because I didn't want to do it wrong. I had to have them equal lengths, okay? But there are no right angles. You see how they're kind of leaning to the side? We'll get to what a right angle is. Just know, just keep that in your memory, that rhombuses don't have right angles. Okay? All right, because we are getting to the next guy. He's an awesome, or she, I don't know. This is an awesome polygon. Who knows what this one is? Correct, you're so smart. Rectangle. So a rectangle has 4 sides, so it's a quadrilateral, okay? And it has right angles, okay? So this side will be equal to this side, and this side is equal to this side. Do you see that in my marks? So the 2 orange little hashtags there, mean that they are congruent. They are the same. I measured them, they're the same length. This side is the same length as this side. And this side is the same length as this side. That's why I have 3 green little hashtag marks to indicate that this is equal to this. They have the same markings. But is this side equal to this side? Nope, not in a rectangle, it's not. That's reserved for another shape. We'll get to that. But this, my friends, is a rectangle. Okay? Not all sides are equal, but 2 pairs are equal to themselves. Top to bottom, side to side, those ones are equal. And that's important to know about a rectangle. Okay? Something else super cool about a rectangle is that when they make an angle, their angle is perpendicular, which makes a right angle. That's super specific and special about a rectangle. Perpendicular, 5 syllables, we can chunk it. Perpendicular. Perpendicular. You can chunk it. Little bite-sized pieces, 3 letters each, we can chunk that. Perpendicular means you're just standing up nice and straight and tall on a flat surface, basically. It makes a right angle. Whenever you see a little box like that in the corner of a shape, see that? That's a clue. They're giving you a clue. It's saying this is a right angle. My lines are perpendicular, straight up, straight across, and right in my vertice, I'm 90 degrees. I'm a right angle. That little box right there tells you that these lines are perpendicular. They're totally straight. The straightest back spine ever. And the straightest ground level ever. And it makes 90 degrees. 90 degrees is also a right angle. And rectangles have 4 of them. And you know it's a rectangle because you will see these little boxes in the corners telling you these are perpendicular. We make 90-degree right angles. It's a hint because look at this rhombus. Does he have those little boxes in the corners, in the angles, in the vertices? He doesn't have right angles. Sorry, rhombus. You're not in the group with right angles, okay? But you know who is in the group? A square. Squares are rectangles. But what's cool about squares, do you notice my little hashtag marks? 2 orange, 2 orange, 2 orange, and 2 orange. All sides are equal. That's what makes a square a square. All sides have to be equal. Rectangle had 2 sides that were equal to each other, and the other 2 sides were equal to each other, but all 4 were not equal. That is reserved for a square. Okay? And what's special on top of that, of a square, is that it also, looky here. What does that mean? The lines are perpendicular, perfectly straight, up and down, creating a 90-degree angle, which is also called a right angle. That's a clue. They give you clues when they draw shapes for you in your math, and they put a little box like that. Looks like a little chair, perfectly made chair, because if it was leaning to the side or slanted or something, it would fall over. Chairs have to be perpendicular, mostly, sometimes. I don't know. I always think it looks like a chair. And that helps me remember that these lines are perpendicular, totally straight up, totally straight across, making a right angle. Okay? That's a clue. This is a square. So now we can get into rhombus and square. Square and rhombus. What do you notice that are similar attributes of these 2 shapes? Look at that. Little hashtag marks on all sides. All sides are equal. What's different? Right. Rhombus does not have right angles. Okay? So a square is a rhombus, but a rhombus, we cannot call it a square because it doesn't have right angles. So sometimes they can cross over into their different categories. And sometimes it's like, no, 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 you can't come in this group because you don't have right angles. Sorry, rhombus, but you're still pretty cool. And you can be a quadrilateral. You can be a rhombus. You can be a parallelogram because these sides are parallel all the way that way. They'll never intersect. Other pair, up and down, they'll never intersect. So rhombus still has a lot of cool things. It's just not a square, is it? Needs those right angles. All right, so that's some vocabulary. Watch this video as many times as you need so that you can put your 2D shapes, 2D means two-dimensional, 2D shapes in different categories. They have different attributes. We can classify them in different classes, okay? So hopefully that helps. Watch this as many times as you need.